Morning everybody, welcome back to the channel. Took a trip back to the late 70s yesterday for this week's movie. It's a film I've seen many times and will watch many more times. Haven't seen it for quite a while, so it was good to catch up with it. It was this one, The Warriors. Made in 1979, directed by Walter Hill, who also directed movies such as Southern Comfort, which a lot of people, including myself, compared to Deliverance, the Burt Reynolds movie. He directed The Driver with Ryan O'Neal, The Long Riders, which was a sort of an American version of a spaghetti western starring the Keach brothers. What else did he do? 48 Hours, Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. So the man knows how to direct a good action movie. And this one is definitely no exception. The story is fairly simple. I mean, most people have actually seen this by now, but for those of you that don't know, the biggest gang in New York, known as the Riffs, organise a mass meeting in the Bronx where a guy called Cyrus is due to speak. And every gang in New York is invited, but they're all told 9 guys, no weapons, it's going to be a peaceful thing. Now, during a speech where Cyrus is basically trying to convince the gangs to take over the city, he's shot and killed. The Warriors get the blame for this, even though obviously they didn't do it. They know who did do it. And the movie is basically the tale of their trip back to Coney Island, which is where they come from, and they basically have to cross swords with many different gangs along the way. They've got the cops after them. They've also got the gang that actually shot Cyrus after them, because obviously they want to silence them. It is a cracking movie. I mean, as I say, I've seen it many times. It's a classic. And I know I bandy the word classic about quite a bit nowadays, but this is absolutely deserving of the word. It is a true late 70s classic. Stars, there are not many people that you would probably recognise in this. The only one that you would probably know is Michael Beck, and I wouldn't class him as famous. The year after this, he starred in Xanadu with Olivia Newton-John. And as I think I said in the last video, he was interviewed recently and basically said that the Warriors made his career, made him a star, and Xanadu promptly shot it down in flames again. So, and not a lot was heard of him after that, I don't think. But it's a brilliant movie, moves along at a cracking pace. The gangs are colourful. The costume department must have had an absolute blast on this picture. As far as the gangs go, the best ones for me by far, and the one most people remember, as the Baseball Furies, with the face makeup, the baseball outfits and the bats. There's also the high hats, which I actually found quite amusing. They're all dressed as Marcel Marceau, sort of mime artists with tall sort of top hats on. There's the boppers. There's quite a few. As I say, the costume department must have loved this. The film moves along at a cracking pace. I absolutely can't fault it. A year later, we had The Wanderers, and there's been this thing over the years, basically saying, you know, do you prefer The Warriors or The Wanderers? The Wanderers was a completely different thing. It was gang related, but it had a very different feel to it. I'll have to review that one at a later date. I've got a copy of it knocking about somewhere. But that's for another time. The soundtrack's good. The end track, I can't remember what it's called now. It's by Joe Walsh, but is absolutely superb. There was a bit of controversy when the movie came out, when it was first released. There were rumours that a lot of the theatres had fights breaking out because of gang members. And from what I've read on the interweb, it wasn't the film that was the problem itself. It was basically the film was liked very, very much by gangs, and gangs used to obviously go run into each other at these cinemas, and obviously the inevitable happened, fights broke out. So I think it's all calmed down a bit over the years. I mean, when you look at it, it's understood that the Warriors is set in the future, sometime in the future, and it's only ever actually stated that in the director's cut, which is the version that I watched. So it's got a faint sort of whiff of Escape from New York, kind of. I mean, if you've seen it, you'll know what I mean. But it's absolutely worth a watch. If you haven't seen it, please have a look. It is just a slice of 77. It is superb. And the version I watched is the Blu-ray. It's the Ultimate Director's Cut. And on this, you've got an introduction by the director, Walter Hill. You've got 4 featurettes, which basically add up to an hour-long documentary. They're all 15 minutes long, so they're easily sort of watchable. And you've got the original theatrical trailer in high def. So my only issue with it, the Ultimate Director's Cut, normally when I read Director's Cut, I always assume that the film has been chopped a bit, bits added to it, basically to make it what the director's original vision was supposed to be. I'm not really sure with this one. I've seen it quite a few times, but I couldn't see anything that had been chopped out or added. So I'm not really sure. The only difference is, and I'm not sure I like it, it's The Warriors is originally based on a comic book. And they've given this a comic book feel by, in between scenes, you see what look like the scenes freezing into a comic book image and the page turning. Now, if you've seen Creepshow, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's a very similar thing to that, but Creepshow was based on a proper comic book, and they wanted it to have that comic book feel. And Walter Hill has said that his original vision was for it to look a bit like a comic book. Problem is, most people have seen it in its original version. Now, I'm not sure which version I prefer. I watched this one, and to be honest, I think I prefer the original. Maybe I need to watch it again to get used to it. I don't know. But the comic book look of it didn't quite sit right for me, even though the whole sort of feel of the movie is very sort of comic book. The violence is very comic book, that kind of thing. I forgot to mention, by the way, the fight sequences are just absolutely superb. And the one with the baseball furies in the park is just amazing, absolutely superb. So, to sum up, cracking film. The jury's still out on the Ultimate Director's Cut. Not so much the content of the film, because I couldn't really see anything that was very different with it. Just the general feel of it, and this thing with comic book images freezing and pages turning. I'm not sure I liked it. But as I say, I will watch it again at some point and maybe it will grow on me. But I also read somewhere that they've got their heads screwed on a little bit and they've withdrawn pretty much all copies of the original version. So this is obviously the version that they want you to see. It's still good. It's still a classic. And if you've never seen it, grab a copy of The Warriors, because take it from me, you will not regret it. Right, that's pretty much it for this week. I've got the week off work. So I'm going to be catching up on some new movies this week. I watched a movie called Censor last week, which I'll do a separate video review of. A bizarre piece, cracking film, but really strange. And there are two sort of independent type films that I want to take a look at. Nomadland, which apparently did quite well at the Oscars, and Minari, which is the story of a Korean family who move over to America and try to start a farm. I've also got various other ones to look at, including the Ben Wheatley movie In the Earth. Now, I've heard a lot about this. The movie is supposed to be absolutely amazing, but apparently the violence is just horrendous, so God knows how far I'm going to get with that one, but we'll see. So, right, I'll let you go. Enjoy your Sunday. Next week I'm going to be watching Breaking Glass. Don't know whether you remember that one. Hazel O'Connor, musical from the 80s, early 80s, 1980 in fact. Amazing soundtrack. If you were around in the early 80s, chances are you did see it. So I'm going to be having a look at that one next week, and also obviously I'll do a video on that one. So right, I'll let you go, folks. Enjoy your Sunday, and I will talk to you all again soon. Take care all. Bye bye.